2 decades ago, psychologists Robert and Joyce Hogan created an inventory of these dark side traits, 11 qualities that, when taken to the extreme, resemble the most common personality disorders. According to Tomas Chamorro-Premuzic, the author of Why Do So Many Incompetent Men Become Leaders?, the survey and assessment conducted by Robert and Joyce Hogan is being used widely in different organizations and industries to identify individuals' development needs. As Tomas describes, in his article published in Harvard Business Review, after profiling millions of employees, managers, and leaders, we know that most people display at least 3 of these dark side traits. And about 40% of them score high enough on 1 or 2 of these traits to put them at risk for disruption in their careers, even if they are currently successful and effective. The result is pervasive dysfunctional behavior at work. Worryingly, leaders tend to do a poor job of evaluating their own dark sides, particularly as they gain power and move up the ranks. Some perceive their career advancement as an endorsement or encouragement of their bad habits, but eventually, those weaknesses may derail them, and perhaps their teams and organizations too. For example, cautious leaders may convey the illusion of control and risk management in the short term, but being overly cautious may cause them to be so risk-averse that they obstruct progress and innovation. Being excitable may help you display passion and enthusiasm to coworkers and subordinates, but it can also make you volatile and unpredictable, which is taxing to others. Diligence helps you pay attention to details and strive to produce quality work, yet in excess, it can gradually turn into procrastination and obsessive perfectionism. Research over decades suggests that it's very difficult to change core aspects of your personality after age 30, but you can harness your dark side in critical situations by changing your behaviors and through self-awareness, appropriate goal setting, and self-assessment or self-reflection. Dark side traits can be divided into 3 categories. Those in the first category are distancing traits which can push other people away. For instance, being highly excitable and moody has this effect. So does having a deeply skeptical, cynical outlook, which makes it hard to build trust. Another example is leisurely passive aggressiveness, which is pretending to have a relaxed and polite attitude, while actually resisting cooperation or even engaging in backstabbing. Traits in the second category are, in contrast, seductive qualities, which tend to pull people in. They are often found in assertive and charismatic leaders who gather followers or gain influence with bosses through their ability to manage up. But these traits can also have negative consequences because they lead people to overestimate their own worth and fly too close to the sun. Being bold and confident to the point of arrogance is a good example. Another example is being overly mischievous or insidious with an enormous appetite for reckless risk. The third category contains ingratiating traits, which can have a positive connotation in reference to followers, but rarely do when describing leaders. Someone who is diligent, for instance, may try to impress her boss with her meticulous attention to details, but that can also translate into preoccupation with petty matters or micromanagement of her own direct reports. Someone who is dutiful and eager to please those in authority can easily become too submissive or acquiescent. Not all dark side traits are equally significant. In a global meta-analysis of 4,372 employees across 256 jobs in multiple industries, distancing traits had a consistently negative impact on individuals' work attitudes, leadership, decision-making, and interpersonal skills. but the seductive traits sometimes had positive effects. For instance, colorful and attention-seeking leaders often get better marks from bosses than other counterparts. And bold and ultra-confident CEOs often attain high levels of growth in entrepreneurial ventures. Dark side traits also differ in their consequences. A mischievous and risk-taking person who is under pressure to demonstrate his or her performance can destroy their entire career with a single impulsive decision. An excitable leader might simply wreck his career with a public bad temper. It's worth noting that a complete lack of these traits can be detrimental as well. An extremely calm, even-tempered, and soft-spoken manager who is not remotely excitable may look unapproachable and uninspiring. The key is not to eliminate your personality weaknesses, but to manage and optimize them in different circumstances. Now the key question is, how to manage our dark side? Perhaps the first step is assessing your personality traits by an accredited test. If you are unable to complete a full personality assessment to identify your potential derailers, you can take an abbreviated version of that. The second important step is being aware of our blind spots. Studies show that our colleagues, close friends, and family members can better recognize our abilities and weaknesses. So, one of the best ways is getting feedback from them and asking them to give you their opinions about your abilities and weaknesses. Remember, in private, when you are comfortable being yourself and relatively unconstrained by social etiquette, you are more likely to show your true yourself. Take time to have self-reflection about your behaviors, actions, and decisions. The fourth important point is to consider the impact of situations and circumstances on your behaviors and traits. One specific trait can be beneficial or detrimental in different situations. For example, a high score on imaginative may be useful if you are in an innovation role or working for an entrepreneurial boss, but it's worrisome and troublesome if you are working in risk management or have a conservative manager. If you are working in a stressful environment, be mindful that stress brings out dark side traits by taxing our cognitive resources and making us less able to exert the self-control which is needed to keep our worst tendencies in check. And conversely, when we are under too little pressure or we are too relaxed, we may display some of the dark traits we successfully hide when we are more focused and engaged. So, as your situation changes, for example, when you get a new manager, take a promotion, or switch organizations, different traits may become important and derail you. Bear in mind, the goal is not to change or reconstruct your personality, but rather to be in control of that in different situations.